Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here to, I think, be maybe humbled or eat some humble pie because I was not thinking that the season was going to end up being pretty good, right? Like, maybe it won't be down the road, but this episode 3, A Fatal Era, I thought it was a very, very strong episode. And with me to break it all down is Michelle. How are you feeling, Michelle?
I'm feeling good. This episode was such a roller coaster. I really was invested and I felt blessed. Like I was like, wow, we're only gonna have this cast one time and I'm enjoying things, even though I'm not happy about everything, but like I'm mad in a good way this episode, which is always fun.
Always fun. And nobody really allowed you to change your background pick, Matthew. Like nothing motivated you to make a shift, but how are you feeling?
I'm gonna stick loyal, even with Amanda gone. There's definitely some people I was pretty impressed with this episode, but Amanda is here to stay, even if she's no longer on the show. But no, I think it was a really strong episode. It had a little bit of everything, so I was really happy with this episode. I definitely have the same worry as we move forward as you, Chantel. I think I'm not surprised the early episodes have been very strong, but I am worried as a lot of the cast seems to want to kind of get rid of the chaos. um, that is my worry as we get into the middle to late stage of the season. But until then, I think we're in for a lot of fun.
Definitely in for fun. I felt for me this episode I felt like I was watching an old seasons every time. It could be the combination of players or just being like, oh wait, I'm seeing those two people together, and then you see like in the daily the flags, and I'm like, I just felt a lot of it had the energy of old school The Challenge, which is my favorite The Challenge, and
Agreed.
so. I definitely really enjoyed it from beginning to end. So bonehead moves, strong strategy, terrible strategy, fights, hookups, like we literally toga party, like we got it all.
We really got it all, and we got like multiple hookups, and like the fact that we got the Kyland and Josh of it all in the same episode brings me back to like the time where Nani was in a showmance with Kahada, and then he left for one night, and she hooked up with what's his name, Johnny Riley.
Johnny Riley, yeah.
Like it's giving that energy, you know?
Michelle with a cup of noodles, like watching a fight. Come on, I mean, that's not super old school, but it's still of the challenge lore, I would have to say. Mm-hmm. Well, we started this episode with I think it was Darrell that was speculating why the losers were staying in the arena. We kind of got the conclusion to that. Do you wonder why we didn't get the conclusion of that this episode as well? Like, with the people that went home, they didn't talk about who they're giving their stars to. Is it stars? What is it called? Votes? Numbers? Votes to?
Yeah.
Oh,
like they brought it up and then they just didn't talk about it again. And who cares?
I actually completely forgot about that until right now. Do you think that was just for the first 8 people out?
No, I think it's going to be for everyone. But the thing is, they didn't even reveal who the 8 people that got out last time voted, like what they ranked people.
They kind of did at the end of last week. Like they kind of said like, oh, I'm going to give this person like they just didn't tell everything, but they told a few. It's kind of like, in The Circle where they show a few of how people voted, but not everybody. I guess for the suspense of it all. But
yeah, like I think they like showed some of the obvious ones, but I mean, we don't know. Yeah, the karma points. We don't know really like how many points everyone has. So I wonder if we won't even know until the end or until they matter, if it's at a purge or a daily down the road or at the final.
I wonder it's going to be at the final, right?
So I wonder if we won't even know the total point count until the final then.
Yeah.
Is that good?
So then they can make it whatever they want based on who's there.
True. How did you guys feel about Tony expecting Leroy to be stronger? Ouch.
I mean, can't really speak at this point, but
yeah, I'm still pretty bummed that Leroy went out this way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, especially with how this episode goes, I'm like, man, you kind of almost went out for nothing. Which sucks. Okay, so an alliance of misfits is kind of coming together with all the winners of the previous elimination. So Cara, Olivia, Anissa, and Ryan are talking. Derek was there, but they're kind of saying, like, Derek, you're not part of this crew. Do you think that this is something that could be solid? Some numbers for Cara?
No, absolutely not. I think Anissa is just Anissa will just go back to her main alliance with that info. If anything did kind of formulate there, but it does seem like Cara actually might have some possible opportunities to work with other people. I don't think Anissa necessarily is going to be one of them. I think Anissa has her hand in far too many pots. And I mean, from what we saw at the end of this episode, pretty good draw for Cara, to be honest, with Bananas being vulnerable, Laurel, Anissa, Jordan. So yeah, I think Cara, the arrow was pointing upwards for Cara, even if it might not be with Anissa as a tight ally.
It actually is in Cara's best interest for Era 2 to lose next week. For her Era to lose and for her to mess up for them.
I think with this format, it makes a lot of sense for people to throw challenges because, depending on the situation,
if they're not the one that's going to be vulnerable, like it's kind of like, well, let's let them go in and see what happens.
Oh yeah, and now I mean, Cara and anyone else really, they have multiple days now to decide what the strategy should be, and the only person vulnerable is Laurel and Bananas. So if you're Cara and you just want payback, first thing on my mind would be like, okay, how can I make sure we lose now and make them go in and maybe one or both of them go home, which might not be good for your team, but
the thing too is like, now if you're not in power, that if you help your team win, then those two people, Bananas and Laurel, get to nominate someone from you for the next time. If they go into elimination and win, they're going to get to be like, okay, well, Cara, and then it's kind of interesting in that way because it could just kind of go back and forth, which is kind of exciting, more exciting that way. If it's like Cara side and this side, and that's, like to me, that is kind of fun, but it's just like way more precarious. Like it does give a higher chance that bigger heavy hitters will go in, right? Because those are the people that are, at least so far, Avery set a precedent of like, let's put in some strong people, which is exciting to me.
That's a good point, actually, because we could see a lot of people see multiple eliminations because of this format. So, I mean, like say Derek, for example, Derek and Anissa are voted in for Era 1. If they go into elimination, they're most likely, if they win, going to want to send in Darrell and Avery because they sent them in. So we could see a lot of multi-eliminations, which I think is both good and bad in a way. But it is at least interesting if this format lasts. Well, so I'm not...
there's a little bit of also strategy, right? That where it's like, okay, like this person most likely will come back and they'll be pissed at me and they might win a daily in the future. So there will be an element of strategy. So not necessarily all the strong people will always go in if you're being the one that's going to be targeting them. I mean, obviously you're going to want to hope that that's what happens if you're not the one that just won an elimination and has to pick your targets. So I do think that there is a possibility for a lot of strategy to come in to shake things up because people are going to be worried about who they place the targets on because those targets likely could come back, right?
That's true too, because especially with like the men having to pick the women and vice versa, it's like say Bananas were to lose and go into elimination and then win the elimination, then get to select. Sure, he could pick Cara, but he also could be like, well, Cara's more likely to win the elimination versus Aviv or whoever. Maybe I'll make a different decision. So like I could see Bananas potentially doing something like that if it's individual and he's making the choice as opposed to like him and Laurel making the choice. But I don't know. I still think he would put Cara in, but there's always a chance. Like it does definitely change things up. Like, Devin's going to play that kind of way. Same with Kyland. Like they're going to be playing more of like, okay, how can I not put the strongest person in.
Exactly. I don't want them to come back and target me. That's
Yeah.
Half people are going to play that way and half people are just going to go for their target. So
Mhm.
it will be interesting. Hi, Nye over here. This season is so good. Yes,
Yeah.
it is so good. Well, these first 3 episodes have been great. Thank you for being here. Actually, thanks to everybody here in the chat. If everybody could please just like this video, just to let YouTube know that you were having fun talking about a great season of the challenge. Now, AK would like to know, Matthew, how is it going to be bad, this format for elimination?
This format? No, I think the format overall is pretty interesting. I mean, remains to be seen. I think like I was saying, on it can be good and bad. I mean, you don't always want to see the same people in elimination over and over. I think there is a chance that people could skate a little bit, but that being said, I mean, people are also going to go home and there won't be the option to send the same people in. So I think it just depends on how long the format lasts or how long they're in teams for. I mean, I'm guessing they're not going to be in teams forever. It just wouldn't really make sense. I imagine at some point it's going to switch to pairs or individual.
Like
So
episode 14. I don't know if it'll be that long, but like we have so many episodes to go.
yeah,
Wild West says, hi Wes or Jay West. Jordan volunteering to be the person for the team is proof that he didn't learn anything from his past. LOL, but I love him for doing that as well. Well, this to me is kind of going along with what BBG here is saying. I actually think that the karma points won't work as they did on All Stars 4 because of the fact that people are going to be, some of them are going to be volunteering, and then some of them people are going to actually have some vendettas that are being created by. So like, I just don't know if it will be as easy to have everybody be liking you and wanting to give you their karma points. So it might not be as heavily weighted as what Laurel experienced in All Stars 4. What do you guys think?
I think it'll probably be some sort of advantage in the final still. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting also having the karma points alongside of this format where you're directly putting someone in danger. So it's like, in a way, like you win an advantage for winning an elimination, which I kind of like. And you are automatically safe the next elimination too. So I do actually like both of those things. I guess like the downside or small downside for your personal game is that you're potentially losing karma points that you don't even know exist because the people in the game don't know karma points are a thing. So if I mean, in this case, Avery and Darrell, you just kind of screwed over 6 people and or 8 people, and they now eventually are going to have karma points to give, and you're probably not going to get their karma points. So I do think all in all, like, all of that is pretty interesting, having both of those things happening at once. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's not
so
as
far
predictable as it could have been. It could be. Sophie's saying, too bad Fanta isn't here because it is one of her favorite challenges, eating. I don't think that she's watched it yet because she hasn't messaged me, but I might get her to record her automatic response for the daily. So let's see if I can get her to give me a voice memo on her reaction to the daily, which would be kind of fun. Michelle comforts Horacio. We know that Nerys went home. She really hopes that Horacio's head is in the game. He's our strongest male, definitely on their era 4. And they definitely took a loss with losing both Nerys and Polly. What do you think about Michelle kind of and her relationship with Horacio now, Michelle?
What do you? Oh, right, because I guess they were on opposite sides.
Well, like, okay, they both had won the challenge. Nerys is his girlfriend. Nerys is going in. They kind of had a little bit of contention with Michelle not wanting Olivia to be going down, but they did come to the agreement that she gets to pick whoever she wants. So, like, I feel like Michelle was doing her whole like social game and trying to finesse everything. How do you think strength wise of era 4? Do you think Horacio is going to be able to hold this team together, Michelle?
I don't think necessarily holding the team together, but I think that like they have all of the strength and intelligence in terms of like the strategy of the challenges to like continuously do well. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Horacio would ever not give it his all. That's just his thing, right? So I don't see that going too sour, at least not yet. I don't know. There just seems to be so much drama to come with like the era 1, 2 leading into 3 right now. Like that's coming in, like everyone's just like pissed. And that's like more exciting to me in terms of storyline right now than season 4 people, if that makes sense.
Tatiana says Era 1 is my fave because I'm an old school fan, but they're also so injury prone. I agree. I'm a Era 1 girly for sure.
I'm sorry, but if CT has to be taken out of the challenge because he hurt himself on trivia, like he can't, then this is not his last season because there's no way that that's how he's leaving the show.
No, it definitely can't be his last season if that's the case. But it could lean though. Matthew, you were saying that Wes and CT were on an Instagram live, and they might even still be now. And it didn't look like CT watched the season or was watching along with the season. So do you think that maybe he could be going out, and so he doesn't really have a vested interest and invested?
I would be absolutely shocked if he actually went out that way. I think it's just like a classic misdirect. And I think like the show will do everything in their power to make sure CT does not go out like that. But I will say CT supposedly, I mean, according to him, has lost about 35 pounds since filming season 40. So he's obviously making a concentrated effort to get back into shape. So I think maybe he might not be super happy with his conditioning this season. And that also makes me think that he's probably not done either. So I think that's good news all around. If he can kind of get back into a little bit better shape and keep doing the show, I think everyone will be happy.
Actually, Lena, you're right here. Lena doesn't believe that he is out. We saw him in feature trailers, clips of him. Yeah, we see him yelling, being like, "That's your direction." So,
right. He's like, "You wanted to do this, and we said you wanted to do this." I thought that was going to be this episode because of how mad they were during the challenge. But so you know what? You're right. You're right. He's going to be through. I just don't want this that to be his final moment on the season. Like, if he loses an elimination, fine. Yeah,
I don't know if we can put CT on All Stars. Like, I feel like that's just.
I mean, Jordan went on it.
Jordan though is a decade younger than CT. You know what I mean?
That's my point.
But like, I don't know. Like, I just don't want CT to actually give in to being an old man. You know?
I don't know. I kind of think he is already, but in the best way. It doesn't make him less strong.
If they put him on, then it actually has to be all the older people. Like they can't. Yeah. Like I just don't want the Jordan and CT and Bananas and the Anisas to be on All Stars. If Jordan and like if they're gonna keep all the younger people on it, if they're gonna cast how they did for All Stars 5, I don't want CT on it.
Yeah.
Just he could do both. Darrell does, but Darrell, I don't know. It's different. It's different. I don't want CT to be in that grouping yet, I guess. We do see, speaking of Darrell, we do see him and Aviv reconnecting. It's been 18 years. They're definitely wanting to work together, really happy to see each other. And Darrell says that he wants to cement his long-term legendary status in the game. How do you feel? Like, do you think that he could be up there with the Bananas and the Jordans and the CT? Like, Darrell was there for me for a while.
He used to be.
Back. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we know what happens later, but I don't think, I don't know. I knew when that scene happened that it meant that one of them was going to be screwing the other one over. And I was like, either he thinks she has his back, but she's actually going to like be in power and vote him in or something, or like not have his back, or he's just going to be like, screw it, which is what he does sometimes when his back is against the wall. He is known to be like, well, if it's me or you, then I want what's best for me.
He let Derek go in there for him. You're like, well, I wouldn't do it.
And he's like,
you.
I wouldn't do it for you. And so like, I kind of was like, okay, and then when he was the leader of the team, I was like, I see where this is going. Yeah. And like, he'll always be up there for me. Like, he's still great. I don't know if he'll be able to win another season though. I'm not sure, but
I'm not sure either.
He'll still
Maybe
be one of the like
All-Stars,
best OGs to me, and he's had his time.
But
And
I
he's
think
been great.
too, we can tell by when we do our drafts how like he used to be the number 1 draft pick or like number 2 or first round at least. And then I think he was second round this time. Like it's just kind of going down every
He is really good if he gets to a final. Because like he almost won that other All-Stars one with Janelle. Like I feel like he is good if he can get to a final. But he's often loses in the eliminations close up to it.
I think Darrell could win for sure. Like I think he could be like a CT in Bananas and like still win into his 40s, Bananas hasn't won in his 40s, but CT has. Bananas won late 30s. I think Darrell could be that. I just think the problem for Darrell is like I think he just doesn't really care as much about like the strategic part of the game. And he's more okay with just letting other people strategize around him. And he tries to like hide in the background a little too much. And I think CT does do that in a way too, but CT is a little bit more like calculated. And I think Darrell is like there for a good time. Like everyone likes him, but he also like at the end of the day is kind of expendable to a lot of people. Like he's not as insulated with the big group. And I think at the end of the day, that's his problem. Like he's still capable as a player, but I mean, let's be real. Like he hasn't won since season 12. Like we're now on season 40. It's been quite a while. And I know he has had some good performances in Invasions and All Stars, but yeah, I mean, it's just tough now because the main like it crew is all on every season, and Darrell kind of pops in here and there, and he is friendly with everyone, but he's not part of that main
he's
core.
not in the Vacation Alliance. He's not
which is why I think this season would have been a good opportunity for him, but it just doesn't feel like Era 1 is like in the best shape right now, both physically and socially as well. And Darrell got hurt today. He said he pulled a muscle. CT looks like he's going to get some sort of injury next week. Like, with all due respect, like Anissa's not in the best shape of her life. We already lost Jody. So it's looking a little rough.
And we know that Tina was taken out of a season for an injury before. So like I guess Era 1 is all riding on Rachel.
Yeah. It's eventually going to be only Rachel there.
I think it's Derek, but Derek will be thrown in.
I think Rachel will be the last woman on that team.
Yeah.
I have to guess.
Hi, Fat Dad Slim. I believe this is Kahuna. So Kahuna, we got to get the boys together to do maybe every 4 episodes an update on our draft because, yeah, I do have a draft with the boys over at the Nullified Take and Drew. And so, yes, I would like to see how we're doing in that draft over there as well. So Kahuna saying CT being in All-Stars would say that he is washed and we don't want that yet. That's exactly what I mean. I don't want him to be in All-Stars yet. It would be that it was over for him on the main season. Like even if it's not, I just would feel like, yeah, the beginning of the end for him. What was I going to put here? But I don't know. Okay, so the next thing I was not expecting to be seeing. I know you mentioned it, Matthew, but we didn't know it was for real, that Emily and Brad were gonna actually be a thing. Like I thought it was like a speculation. I thought it was like we saw the first episode where he's saying that she's cute or whatever. I didn't think that she was gonna be into him, but apparently she's all about beards and biceps. Who knew?
I mean, who knew?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Didn't have a beard, but he had biceps. Who had a beard?
I'm happy for them.
Is that hookup points? Because like we didn't see anything.
It showed them like embracing. It showed them.
They're cuddling in bed. That's true.
Kind of, yeah.
Hookup points.
And and I can't remember who said it, but someone said they were like in the shower together, and then you saw them leaving together.
or John A. Or maybe it was John A.
Yeah, I think it was John A. And then Emily all but confirmed it in her confessional after. So I think that definitely counts as hookup points.
Saying that she's just he's so hot. I was like, get it, Brad. He's still got the sauce. So maybe because we were saying that Brad needs to have like a hookup for him to get his like Brad juices going. Gross. But maybe this is it. Like, do you think we're gonna see a different side of Brad? Like a more of like a I'm gonna protect my woman, Brad. What do you think? Happy about this?
I'm happy about it. Well, yeah, I'm happy for them.
Well, and then to follow it up. Sorry, go ahead.
The Brad we've been getting lately is more of the kind of like wounded puppy Brad.
Yes.
So I definitely would like to see some mojo back from Brad. Maybe then Era One can do a little bit better. But I mean, Brad did not do too great in the daily today, it seems. So I don't know if Emily is changing too much for him, but we can only hope.
Emily likes Casey too. Okay. Haven't heard this yet. Was it in the episode and I missed it?
Yeah, she said, she's like, oh, and I'd rather see them throw Air 4 in, even though I do really like Casey, and if only she didn't have Nani. I'm sorry, okay. Nani, but I'm really but like I'm in love with Casey or whatever. She said that.
Oh, I missed that. I did not hear it. I have another question for you guys. Where did I see this? Somebody either posted or was talking about the fact that Laurel has a bunch of people that are interested in her this season, or that I don't know if she has a hookups or if she has some sort of like something happening. And so they were alluding to something going on with Laurel and either a person or multiple people. So have either of you heard of this? And if so, who do you think it might be? Or even if not.
I mean, my first thought would be maybe Bananas, just because like
Bananas and Laurel hooking up. Wow. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
The only person I could really see is like Kylan, but Kylan is obviously with Naya.
Yeah, maybe Kylan.
Josh and Laurel? Maybe back to Jordan.
She's already hooked up with Jordan, so that's always
he's a girlfriend. Okay, so Brittany's
Rachel
clarifying,
or does Rachel
said that there's someone this season who said that they have feelings for her.
Oh, okay. So then maybe it's someone else. Yeah, I don't know who it would be, but I don't think Anissa.
I'm just trying to think.
Nehemiah single?
No, I think so. I haven't heard of him talk about anybody.
Maybe Nehemiah. Well, we'll find out.
I mean, wait, no, I can't. I do not believe that Josh is going to get Laurel and Naya. Like, that just is out of control.
Or maybe it's just that, like, he has feelings for her and he admits it on the season or something.
Nehemiah would never. Well, keep on letting me know if you guys hear of anything in that realm. That's the kind of spoilers I'll entertain. So Naya and Josh are getting close in the pool. We're seeing like she's actually kind of into him. We know she wants a politic, which is cool and fine. But I think that her and Josh might actually be a thing because they are traveling together with Olivia and Theo after the season.
Yeah. And they're making out in the water, right? That's what they showed them. Yeah.
Matthew, you were saying that maybe it was a misdirect and it was kind of a red herring that they didn't really actually make out, kind of like the Cassie and Josh situation. But it seems like it's a real thing. So what are your thoughts on this hookup?
I still don't think it's real, to be honest. I think they're just friends. Like I think like people are just super close with Josh. And I mean, unless like we see Josh, like, unless we see like full on like making out, like then I'll believe it there. But like the fact is like that same party, like she was like in bed with Kylan, like Josh was obviously very upset to the point where he got in a big fight with Tori about it. So I think maybe I personally think maybe Josh was into Naya and they are like more friends. And Naya kind of like went to Kylan instead. And maybe that leads Josh to Laurel, but I don't really think anything is going on with Josh and Naya other than like, I don't know, maybe they kissed. Like maybe there was a kiss there. I didn't see it tonight. But
there was like lip brushing.
It looked like they were, I don't know, like kind of dark, but
very close lipness, we'll say. Yeah. Well, we'll keep our eye on these the hookups of Naya. So then we get to our team challenge, which is going to be for the second daily challenge. Derek from Era 1 definitely loves a challenge. He doesn't really like doing things on his own, but he is a really good team member, which is great. So what did you think about this daily? So they are competing in teams. They're going to have to get into kind of a dragon boat situation. They're going to have to row the course to some disgusting food because it's called Gladiator is the name of this challenge, I believe. And on the menu is a snake and rat medley, pig's brains with blood cake vinaigrette, coconut worms, duck embryo balut, which we've seen before, boiled cow's eyes. And there is a vegan option, which is tofu and durian, 2 separate items for Nehemiah, who is a vegan, as well as Tori. What would your preference be here? What would you guys choose to eat?
I go with the balut. I've seen it enough times on Survivor that I think I would just say, you know what? It's like, yeah, it's egg. It might be a little crunchy as well, but I think I would just go with that. And I don't want anything living in me. The rat was nasty.
Yeah, anything except for the rat or the moving around maggots, like that they're still alive, those worms, I wouldn't do that. If it wasn't alive, then I could do it, but not if it's moving.
Yeah, and not if it looks like a rat. Like, just like seeing the shape of it, like it looked like there was still hair on it, right? Or am I just like making it up?
I don't know. Ew.
The drink actually would probably, I mean, durian smells nasty.
Yeah, but just don't breathe in through your nose.
Exactly. I wouldn't breathe in through a nose. I would just drink it, but it actually is very gross. But you just get the drink down. It's pretty easy. But if there's a vegan on there that is for them, they'll have it. I think I agree. I'd probably do the pig's brains with the blood cake vinaigrette, because at least it'll be a consistency that will be slightly familiar. And yeah, you're right, Matthew. Maybe the balut, because it would be a decently familiar texture. I just would have to not look at it.
Yeah.
I know Taboo's pissed. Vegan option, gotta cater to Princess Tori. Didn't do shit for Nehemiah in the past. That's true, because like at that final of All Stars 3, they did not give him a vegan option, correct?
Yeah, they didn't give Fessy one either. And wasn't Fessy like, it's for religious purposes as well, but I think he was still asked to eat some sort of animal product.
Wait, what's this that Austin's saying here? On Banana's podcast, Kelly had invited him to her wedding, and she said, and you can get Aviv to come. I did watch Kellyanne on his podcast. Did you, Matthew? I would think you did.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I love how you don't ask me because you know that I don't listen to his podcast.
Well, I know that Matthew sometimes takes it for the team and will watch some of the unpopular With Us Anyways podcast. So
I'll listen to Kellyanne on anything. Kellyanne, honestly, that was one of my favorite podcasts. Kellyanne was just like delivering for an hour plus. So I thought Kellyanne was really on her game, and it made me even more upset that she's not on the show anymore, because she is just so fun and she has absolutely no filter. So definitely miss Kellyanne already, but was glad I got another hour of her, even if it was with Bananas.
I didn't mind them together. I thought that they had good chemistry. It seems like they actually kind of get along a little bit. Like I liked Bananas more with Kellyanne, but I think it's because they have such a long history, and so that she knows who he is. You know.
Yeah.
I want to go to Kellyanne's wedding too.
Yeah.
Are you sad that she's off the market now, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm happy for her.
I do want her to come on the show though and find someone and be messy. Like I was obsessed with her and Kahana. Like I
was so sad when they weren't together, but then when she was with Wes, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like this is like my worlds of real world combining. And then when they weren't together, I was just like, I loved her with Kahana. I always thought they were endgame. Clearly not, but
I know. I did, but back then, like, how it was like over a decade ago. But I was just like, they have to be together. Like, I want them to be these kindred spirits that found each other on the real world.
Is it true that she admitted to throwing the elimination?
She did say that. She said that she was helping Cara, kind of being like, Cara was not really had her head in the game, and she was not focusing on untying the knots, and she was encouraging her to like, hey, like, study what I did, and kind of.
Oh, but why?
Maybe she just wasn't thinking. Why do you think, Matthew?
I think she was saying that she was like her and Mark both had gotten sick, like they were like
Oh,
physically
right.
ill,
What is it called?
and some sort of they had some sort of infection,
It was
but they
called
were sick
something.
for like weeks after. And I think Kellyanne was just like, yeah, I showed up, I got sick, they put me in this like in that crate for like 2 hours or whatever, and her head was just not in it. So she wanted to leave, and then once the elimination actually started, she got a little bit more rejuvenated, but she wasn't like 100% in it. And it seems like there might be a little bit of that going on, because I think Tony might be suffering from that as well, and
The
potentially
sickness?
Leroy too. No,
Oh,
just not having their head in the game.
head.
So
Oh,
um,
yeah. That's
I think
clear.
there's a few people that might just want to go home. I heard the heat was really bad. It was super humid. The living conditions apparently were not as luxurious as it seems. So I think a lot of people are taking a little while to adjust and potentially wanting to go home.
Yeah, what was something gut? It was called, like, yeah, it's not good. Not
Jeez.
good. Okay, so they're chosen. They had to make a choice of who was going to be a man and woman to rep their era. So for era 1, Jody and Darrell choose. Era 2 is Derek and Aviv. Era 3 is Tony and Avery, and era 4 is Casey and Kyland. Who did you have any favorites when they picked this?
Well, my first thought with all of this was Era 3 stood out to me, because when they were deciding who was going to go in, they were saying like, "Oh yeah, Tony, you won the elimination, so like, yeah, you should be captain." And in my mind, I was thinking two things. I'm like, okay, well, one, why is Naya not captain then? Two, if you win the elimination, shouldn't you not be captain? Because we all know the losing team is going to go in. Like, it's painfully obvious to everyone. So there's like, yeah, Tony, don't worry, you do it. And then Avery does it instead of Naya, because obviously Naya is more insulated than Avery. So the fact that Tony just like willingly, what a horrible episode for Tony, first off, but the fact that Tony was willingly doing that immediately after being thrown into elimination was just such a boneheaded decision right off the bat. And like, Anissa was smart. She said, well, I'm not going to do it because I know what's going to happen. So I'm not volunteering for shit. Meanwhile, Tony was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, all right, come on, Tony.
Tony still doesn't get how to play the game, but Tony thinks that they're gonna win because he's known to be able to eat. So, did you think that Tony was gonna be able to carry his team with his eat ability?
I thought, like, yeah, I was like, yeah, they're gonna do well. Little did I know what was going to happen after they won, but
so now they had after they eat all the gross food after the rowing, they're gonna have to put 40 shields with the different titles of each season of the challenge, so 1 to 40 in order, and only the first team is going to be safe. The losing team, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but we could deduce that it's likely not going to be great. And I was thinking at this point, I was like, well, era 4 is going to have no idea what, like, the earlier eras flags are going to, or shields are going to be. And then Rachel said at the exact same time that they were the only people that were actually there, because I'm thinking era 4 has never even watched this season. Like, how many seasons? Go ahead.
I thought the opposite. I thought, like, you know what? This is like made for Kyland. I thought Kyland would just like know all that shit.
yeah, me too.
I kind of forgot if Kylan was on era 4, but you're right.
Yeah, I heard some people say on Twitter, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Naya was live tweeting, and Naya said like Tori absolutely dominated the like season part, and the only person in the house that could have potentially beat her in that was Kyland. And I think that's just because Kylan is like a super fan. but
Yes, and
Tori was
he
doing more of the
studied.
studying. And like Era 1 obviously could have done well, but they just didn't get there in time because they were horrible at everything else.
If Era 1 had actually gotten there at the same time, who knows? Tori seemed to have known it all anyway, but like, I'm sure CT, I'm sure together, Anissa, I'm sure they would have known most of it. So,
well, I don't know if there was actually production help here, Bloody Money. If I'm not mistaken, the titles were all over the compound that they were staying in. So unless the production was like, hey, study this, I don't think that they actually gave her any specific help. I think she just knows that likely she's going to need to know those answers.
Yeah.
I would go into a season 40 knowing all the order of the entire thing for sure. So Jody trained to come here, which I do like hearing because Anissa doesn't seem to train to come. It looks like she trained after this season. So I don't know if that means that she just doesn't do well. And so she's like, I'm going to come back bigger, badder, better. But I like that Jody is like, yeah, I'm older, but I love this game. I'm going to train and come back for season 40. So I like seeing that from Jody. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that Era 1, though, in this daily was a hot ass mess. They were in last place for the entire thing. We have Brad trying to be the rudder, but can't steer. They're going into banks. Like, they were just not in it at all. It was embarrassing. And for most of it, I would say Era 3 was in the front. There was a little bit of a collision with Era 2 and Era 3, but Era 3 took up speed, got in front, and never really looked back. So it does look like Era 3 is the strongest era so far.
I think Era 3 is by far the best era. They're just so well-rounded and so connected to both Era 2 and 4. Plus, having CT and Anissa and Rachel to an extent on Era 1, there's a lot of connections there as well. So I think like Era 3 is definitely the scariest. And then like the fact of the matter is like they have Jordan, who is just good at everything. They got rid of Tony, who is good at things, but he's not really like a team player. Clearly, Amanda is not with the team. So they got rid of all the people that are going to be a hindrance to them. So to me, like Era 3 just sticks out like crazy as the best team.
Yeah, Brittany's impressed by Jordan doing the main steer. Giving it would be harder with one hand. Absolutely. I mean, Darrell, he's always surprises me by what he's capable of doing.
The thing,
amazingly, not even just doing. Pardon?
Yeah, Era 3 as well. It's like they arguably have the best physical competitor there in Corey, just like pure physical. They have the best endurance male there in Jordan, and they arguably have the best puzzle person there in Devin for the men. And then like Tori's very well rounded. Naya is super physical. I mean, Avery is a little bit more of an unknown, but so far, like I like what I see. And John A obviously is great with puzzles. So they just have everything. And there's not, I just don't see anyone there that's going to like cause too much problems for them or cause too much drama. Maybe like John A can be messy sometimes, but I think they're going to be a cohesive group and just super strong. And I'd honestly be pretty surprised if they like went on a losing streak.
So Jay West wants to know who's in a better spot in Era 3, Jordan or Tori, Michelle?
Tori.
100%. Why?
Yeah. Because Tori has Jordan will get thrown in before Tori will. Like Tori has so many friends. Tori has so many friends in every place. The person who hates her the most is gone. There are people who might not vibe with her who are like, she's strong, we should get her out. But she has so many close ties in different areas. It's just like going to be really difficult for anyone to like actively target her. I could see some people picking her if like they win an elimination and they're like, yeah, Tori. I could see maybe a couple people doing that, but like, you know that people who aren't, there are a lot of people who aren't going to do that. So yeah.
Tori does have connections in every single era.
I think Tori's better set up with the other eras. Jordan might be slightly better set up in his own era, but your own era like barely matters for the format right now. So yeah, I definitely think Tori's better set up overall. And then within the era, I think Jordan is maybe slightly better set up just because he has the ins with Naya and Avery, whereas he might not be as close with Devin, which Tori is. But I mean, overall, I think they're all going to work together anyways.
Yeah.
So we got a CT pro tip. You got to be a little bit crazy to think that was a valuable pro tip. I do. Because like to eat some of that nastiness, you do have to be a little bit crazy.
It did make me laugh. And then the way he just like pummeled it into his mouth and just like had this dripping out and was just like, he just has that energy where he's like, I don't care. And that's what you need to have. That's what you need to have.
Anything else you want to say about how this challenge went down? I mean, I liked it as a daily. I thought it was really good. It was comical and made me laugh especially with how bad Era 1 is. I thought it was a pretty well-rounded challenge.
Yeah, like there was a physical part, there was an eating part, and then there was like a memory part. So I like that for sure.
Yeah, I think it was a really good daily as well. I think it had kind of everything that you could ask for. As a viewer, the one thing I wish was maybe a little different is I wish we had more of an opportunity to play along with the last parts with the seasons. I feel like it went very quick. And it was just like, oh yeah, you're done. It's like, oh well, it would have been cool if like us as fans could have kind of tried to play along a little bit more. But that part went really quick, and I liked that they had to do it. But that one little part just didn't play as well for TV for me. But I think the rowing and the eating was really strong. And it was a nasty eating comp. Like that was one of the grossest ones we've seen.
Pretty gross. So do you have any thoughts on how they could have improved the third part of that daily?
Maybe just slow it down a little bit. Like maybe if they took a minute or two out of the rowing part or out of another part of the episode and just made that a little bit slower so like we could have seen the board a little bit more. I just felt like that it just went way too quick.
Yeah,
And
maybe
it
if they
probably
had
went
to
quick in
run
reality.
in order or something to gather the 40 of them or something like that and being like, okay, what's next? And like, okay, we need to find this one next, or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what they did on Dirty 30, I think was really good. It was where they like had somebody like harnessed up and they had to like raise them up and they had to put the piece in. So it was a little bit more chaotic, but also slower because it's like, all right, like I think it was Camilla. It's like, Camilla, like put this one in slot D. This is the fourth season or whatever. So I think maybe something like that, where yeah, there's a little bit more movement, and if it's maybe one person at a time has to go and put one piece in, that could have worked. Yeah, the Camilla one was that was pretty funny too, because they kept like smashing her into the pole too. It was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. Well, Era 3 wins, then Era 2, then Era 4, and with surprise to none, it was Era 1 losing. And because Jody and Darrell are, they were the captains, Jody is concerned, and rightfully so, because they are going to be going directly into elimination. And out of the other non-winning teams, they're going to have to decide the chamber of the winning team who was going to be going into elimination against them. I think this is great. Now, yeah, I definitely think it's great. I wasn't sure if this was how it was going to stay. Obviously, we learned at the end of the episode it's not. But I like that there's like targets and like there's people that will have vested like effort into wanting to win these dailies. Sometimes we get these seasons where people want to trim the fat and they want to just do this and do that. It just makes it less likely for people to want to do that for the other elements in the season. So I hope that it will keep people wanting to win. Win. So back at the house, we see Josh strategizing. Naya also is wanting, Avery to strategize because Avery's the winner. Her and Tony were the winners, the captains of Era 3. And so Naya's like, we got to keep our people. So I love that Naya is actually getting in there and strategizing. Matthew, you look like you're about to say something.
No.
Oh, I was like, I thought you were like about to say something to me. But Casey wants to work with Era 3. So we do get a little bit more of an animated version of Casey this episode. She's talking about how she's like going to go with her social skills and she's going to get in there and she's going to make sure that her and Kyland are safe and they're going to make a deal with Era 3. What did you think about all the different strategies and whose strategy do you think was the best for Avery and Tony to go for? So Tony seemingly wants to make a connection with Era 4, and so that would be protecting Casey and Kyland. And Avery has close friends on Era 2, being Derek, somebody that she's lived with for years and is known for over a decade, I think it was. Also, all the people that come with that group of people, including most of her cast. Like, what do you think of those two decisions? And do you think there was a best decision for both of them?
I mean, I think no, you go ahead.
Yeah, I honestly, I think Kyland, Casey, Derek, and Aviv, like, I think all of them said and did the right things. Like, I think they had good strategies all across the board. At the end of the day, like, I think it was Bananas that was talking to Tony, and Bananas was saying, like, dude, like, you just met these people. Like, why are you gonna risk your game and your paycheck on these people that you don't know? And I get in the sense, like, yeah, like Tony wants to have strong competitors protecting him, but like it's episode 2 or it's episode 3. It's the first elimination. I think that like Kyle and Casey said the right things, but at the end of the day, I think the easy decision was to send in Kylan and Casey. Um, you are sending Kylan against Darrell, who are two very strong competitors physically. I know Derek is good with endurance and things like that, but I mean, if you can send Kylan or Darrell home early, I think that's a huge win for you. And yeah, you might lose a little bit of protection from Era 4, but you're appeasing way more people, not only on Era 2, but on your own era, because your own era is working closer with Era 2. Why do you want to piss off your own era and Era 2 just to maybe get a couple allies in Kylan and Casey? Meanwhile, like Casey has 100 other allies too. So I think the easy decision was to send Era 4 in. But I do think Era 4 did the best they could, being Kylan and Casey, in making an argument there.
Yeah, and it was like it seemed like it was just what was confusing. It seemed like it was Tony's ego of, oh, I don't want to like back down, like similar to like when Zach did that back in the day with Amanda or whatever. But I think it seemed like he didn't fully understand like the difference, which is that Avery has known Derek for so long. They have a real life friendship and have known each other for so long. And she's willing to put her neck on the line for him. Why are you gonna? You think that Kylan or Casey would ever put themselves on the line for you? Why are you doing this? What are you getting out of it? And then when Avery kept repeating of like, oh, you don't even want to be here. I don't want to be here. I was like, oh, because he wasn't really negating that. So I guess
when she's saying you don't want to be here, was it because he was willing to put himself into elimination?
Yeah,
like that's why, or like was he actually saying things like, "Oh, I miss my family"?
Well, that's my question. I don't know, right? Like, because a lot of times when they say that, they don't air it, right? They don't air the people that say I want to leave or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was a mix of like him not maybe wanting to be there, his head not being fully in it, and then also just like his crazy big ego. Like I think he's like a bit upset that like I mean he's referenced it twice now. Like Bananas was cheering for Leroy. I think like Tony is coming into the season thinking like, yeah, I don't want to be like that puppy dog anymore. Like I want to make like big, bad, bold moves. And it's like, sure, that's great. We love that. And it made for an exciting episode. But like it's the first elimination. It's the first real elimination. Like, why are you gonna do this now? At least when Zach and Amanda did it, it was at the end game. And they had a whole season of like building up relationships and alliances. I mean, for Tony to just like willingly put himself in for people he doesn't know on episode 3 and the first real elimination was just so dumb. Um, so I think it's a mix of ego and then potentially just head not being fully in the game.
Yeah, I definitely think it was an ego thing. I think he was hurt for sure by Bananas cheering for Leroy. And I think that he felt maybe all alone and he didn't necessarily think that the advice that he was getting from Bananas was advice from like a real friend, because if he was a real friend, he would have wanted him to be there. But he just wasn't able to really filter out that actually Bananas is giving you sane, sound advice, because no matter what, the object of the game is to stay out of elimination pretty much to get to the end and then run the final. Like if you have to go down for certain reasons like skull twist or whatever, that's different mechanics. But in this particular game so far, we're trying to avoid elimination because you have some power there and you don't want to throw yourself in because you have a chance of going home.
Yeah. I honestly wonder if part of it was also like Tony, like if Tony was thinking like, all right, if I work with Kyland and Casey, maybe they'll work with me against people like Bananas and Jordan and CT. Like I think Tony doesn't want to be in their shadow anymore. So it's like, all right, if I can pick up these Era 4 people, maybe they'll be numbers for me to go against like a Bananas, which I personally love that strategy. But at the end of the day, like you can't put yourself in the elimination. It only will work if your partner is willing to do that strategy as well. I mean, I would rather lose Kyland or Darrell than go home myself, of course. So I like the idea of not wanting to be in the shadow of these like big legend names, but you have to have the numbers to do it in order to pull the move.
Also, can we take a moment for Darrell in that?
Okay, I was just getting to the chamber right now, which is I thought that Derek was, offering. He was pretty good in the chamber.
Yeah.
We hear Avery saying that she doesn't want to throw that. No, well, Derek's saying to Avery that he would never throw in anybody from Era 3. I think that that's something really good to say. It looked like Era 2 wants to work with Era 3 as well. So the fact that Tony's not even hearing this is crazy. And then Darrell saying, when he is asked, who would you rather go up against, say that he would go against Aviv and Derek. And Aviv is pissed.
This is the thing. I was thinking about this as it happened. And I was like, as I said, classic Darrell, like, it's, he's got to protect himself and he just will do that. It doesn't matter how close you are to him. However, I think a more tactful way for him to have done this would have been to say, listen, it's not my decision. If you're asking me between the two men, if it's individual, I would rather, unfortunately, sorry, Derek, I'd rather go against Derek than Kyland. I think I would have a better chance, but I don't want to throw them two in because I'm so close to Aviv. And then Jody could say, I would rather go against Aviv personally than Casey, but it's up to you guys. We understand. And if you just said it that way and planned your strategy, Darrell, for 5 minutes and just said, okay, let me say that in a way that's like, I want to go against Derek. Like, let me make it clear to them. But I'm not going to throw Aviv under the bus. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a better way. Like, I don't understand that he just went, meh. Like, same thing with it. Yeah, with Anissa later. He's like, no, sorry. There you go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely would have need to have a pro tip from you, Michelle, with how to handle this chamber deliberation.
I think Kyland really struck some fear into Darrell after season 39. So I think Darrell doesn't want that smoke from Kyland.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was actually shocked when Darrell just straight up said like he would rather Aviv and Derek. I thought that caught me off guard. So I was definitely pretty surprised, even though like obviously like, on paper that's who you would rather, and I just didn't think Darrell would actually say it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, it's. Yeah, it's just funny. Like at the end of the day, I just wish he didn't say it that way because that was a mistake because he never thinks about that
game,
social strategy game. Yeah. He doesn't think about those things. Like if he was on Big Brother or even Traders, like I don't think he would do well because he doesn't care about that element. You know what I mean? And that's not important to him.
Because in the beginning, it was really a lot more if you were strong and good and in a team, they would keep you on the team till the end, and you'd be able to win the season. But now people are getting a little bit more savvy with who they want to bring to the end, how they're going to get there, that this, like, I'm strong and I'm doing it for my team and they want me there, it just doesn't work anymore, and he just hasn't adapted. Yeah. But Darrell, I just don't know if it's going to benefit you later on, because it looks like that era might do better than the era one. They just might, or very likely anyways. So Tony and Avery are not agreeing at all. Tony is saying that he'll go down if he has to. Avery says the same. So how do you feel about Avery digging her heels in and saying, like, I'm not going against somebody, like, I'm not throwing in who you want, I'm sticking to my guns, but then also Tony sticking to his guns as well. They're at a stalemate.
I love that she did this, because Derek, I just love that he has allies that are real allies, because he's a true ally to his, like, people that he is loyal to. And so to have someone be so loyal and be like, yeah, like, screw that, I'm going to do this, you know, I think that it's really admirable and also exciting. And I mean, like, say she was with Jordan, and Jordan was like, well, I'm not throwing in Tori. Or like, say it was something where someone else had a really strong relationship, that's when you get into discussions where Avery's like, okay, well, you also have a 20-year relationship and so do I. How do we juggle this? But like, Tony didn't have a relationship with Casey or Kyland, and they were so much stronger. Just such an obvious thing. So I like that she stood her ground, because so many people don't, to the men, and I'm happy that she did. Yeah.
So Tatiana here is saying that she didn't like how they made Tony's decision look like a male ego-driven thing to undercut Avery because she was a woman. Do you think that it's fair, like a fair thing to look at? Tony may have been driven by his ego as opposed to strategy or reasoning.
It could have been. I mean, but like, I don't think I'm not saying it's necessarily 100% just like, oh, she's a woman, he doesn't want to, you know, but his ego was obviously a huge part of whatever decision he made.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure if Avery was a man, I'm not sure if he would have still dug his heels in as he did and would go down. I'm not sure. But yeah, you're right, though. Maybe it was just Tony being a bonehead and it wasn't just his ego driving things. But I'm not sure. I'm definitely not sure. So we get the Challenge Gods party. They're all dressing up in their togas. We get another CT pro tip this episode, that it's okay to have fun. And I have to agree with this pro tip, because that's one of the complaints that we were kind of having about the more recent season, is that it doesn't look like they're having fun anymore. Total Madness, they have them in a bunker with no windows. It didn't seem like a good time. And so I do like the fact that they're bringing back in a little bit of lighthearted, fun, good times into the game. Matthew, are you happy to see them having fun? Toga?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like fun?
Who doesn't
Cara's
like fun?
outfit, random.
Yeah, I didn't even understand what her outfit was. What was she wearing?
She was wearing the Rocky
It's
Horror.
Rocky Horror.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes more sense.
It looked like a Frankenfurter outfit to me.
Yeah. She said that's the only outfit she brought. So I guess she planned on Polly being there a little longer. So she brought the kinky stuff out.
Bananas is vicious. He would let his mom do a hall brawl when he was trying to bring reason or rationalize things with Tony in his confessional. He was like, I don't care if it's I would let my mom go and do a hall brawl in order to save his ass.
I think with these games, like similar to Survivor, you have to have a certain level of mental capacity to like not let things get to you, or when they do get to you, to like persevere, because you've just done the show so many times and you just know to like stick it out. Because people like Bananas, like, it's never a question that he's gonna be there as long as he can, it seems. Maybe there was one back in the day, I'm not sure, but like, you really have to have that mental like strength to stay in it.
I mean, Bananas, I don't think he'd actually let his mom do the hall brawl, but it's just kind of showing, though, how much he's more into playing the game over Tony. And all we just hear is another confessional of Tony be still pissed that he cheered for Leroy. Like, well, then go talk to Bananas about it and being like, hey, man, why'd you do that? And Bananas would be like, hey, I've known him for longer. Like, I knew that you were coming back. You were stronger than he is. I just didn't want him to go out without having a friend of his cheering for him. It'll be done. You guys would be bros again and you'd move on. But he's harboring all this pent up upsetness with Bananas for not cheering when he was doing a pole wrestle. Like, so emotional.
Yeah. And like also Tony, like you threw Bananas in once. Leroy has always been his number one. Like, compared to the two of you, he's going to cheer for Leroy.
Exactly. Naya thinks Kylan's a cutie pie. And so it might be his last night in the challenge house because he might be going down. So she decides to start making out with him. And then they make out in the room with Josh, either in the same room or the next room nearby.
I think he was in the next room. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely an interesting place to make out, Naya, especially if you're entertaining Josh as well. But then we see Tori downstairs with a group of people kind of laughing about Josh and this situation. And Josh kind of gets wind of this and he gets upset with Tori for making fun of him. What did we think about how Josh confronted Tori? The fact that he says that we're not friends anymore and Tori is left in tears.
I mean, do we think they're not friends anymore?
No.
I don't know.
I was impressed by Josh. To be honest, Josh is really actually impressing me this season so far. I like how he called her out directly to her face. Like, I like how he didn't like freak out and get like super emotional about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
getting emotional.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like people were I think Amanda tweeted tonight as well during the episode. It's like, yeah, if I was there, like I would have like ripped Tori apart for Josh. And Amanda was saying, like, I tell Josh every season that like Tori is not your real friend. Like she is like there for you because you're a number, you're well connected, but like she'll do this to you over and over. Like you're gonna be expendable to her. Like last season of USA 2, Tori was a stray vote to Josh, and Josh wound up in the final elimination and lost. So if they're that close of friends, why is Tori throwing stray votes on Josh? And why is she making fun of Josh? I know it's nothing super serious, but she's like cracking fun at Josh while he's not there. He catches wind of it. So I liked how Josh stood up for himself. I'm pretty impressed with Josh there. Now, do I think like he's going to keep that attitude all season? No, I think he'll probably be fine with her next episode. And that's probably better for his game. So it makes sense to do that. But I really like what I'm seeing from Josh. And in terms of the Vacation Alliance, like he's definitely number one on my Vacation Alliance tier on my tier list. So he's the one in that crew that I'm liking the most thus far.
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't think I can disagree.
Him not being afraid to speak on it. And yeah, when you compare it to like his fights with Fessy or anybody else that he's had, Devin, whatever. I mean, he wasn't drunk, I don't think. So like that probably helped. But yeah, like I do like that he called her out because as we said before, Tori has so many allies that there aren't really many people who are going to call her out, especially with Amanda being gone. So the fact that he was willing to do that. Yeah, I enjoyed that he was willing to do that. But like, I also just think that he will be her friend probably within the season still.
For sure. Well, Dabu says that Josh is in his feelings about Naya and Kylan, but it's easy to lash out at Tori over some BS. And that's kind of what Michelle was saying while she was eating noodles. She's watching this fight go down between Tori and Josh. And she says it's more not because he was being voted out that previous season or like he got the votes and he had to go in and then he was out of the game. But instead that his ego, it was bruised by the fact that someone that he was interested in was hooking up with somebody else and then potentially also the fact that his friend was making fun of him about this. So I do think that he was more so upset about the Nia situation and the timing of it all with Tori making fun of him over it. Like, I think it made it easy for him to be like, yeah, do you know what? We're not good. I was happy about it though. I mean, I don't want Tori to be able to get away with making fun of Josh. It's kind of low hanging fruit and not really good friend behavior, in my opinion.
No.
Ranking Vacation Alliance is so wrong.
So I do a tier. I do tier rankings every week. I do my power rankings of everyone left in, and my bottom tier is just the Vacation Alliance. Regardless, like there's no way they can move up in the tier. So if you're in the Vacation Alliance, you're in the bottom tier. But actually, well, Corey is now below the Vacation Alliance. But in the Vacation Alliance tier, Josh will be the top of the bottom tier. But because he's in that alliance, he can't move up beyond the Vacation Alliance. If I do like
well, maybe he's breaking free right now. He's breaking free.
Then maybe if he does, then next season I'll move him out of that ranking.
So Tony is still planning on calling Avery's bluff. And I'm like, why do you need to win this one? Just put your sword down, Tony. You have just be chivalrous then maybe and just be like, listen, it's not really what I want, but if like our era as a team thinks that this is better, as well as the person who was the captain whose game is also on the line, this is something that she really, really wants for people that she's known longer than I've known the other people that I'm trying to protect. I'm going to let her have it this one and be like, hey, but next time, can we do what I want? Something, Tony, something. Avery's in the room talking to Ryan and Laurel. She's also not backing down. Laurel is really loving and riding for Avery here in this situation. She really is annoyed with Tony for like not backing down over this. And we'd heard at the beginning that Ryan wasn't really happy with Laurel and they were kind of fighting, but it seems like they're okay right now. Do you think that storyline is going to resurface?
Yeah, it must happen later then, right? Because it seemed like they were okay because there were multiple scenes with them like talking, like not like maybe they're not like the closest, but I'm not sure.
Nope. Don't fool with Tony. He's a mess. A mess.
Yeah, I think the Ryan and Laurel stuff will be more when Laurel and Cara have their big blow up. I think Ryan then is going to kind of be siding with Cara. And I think there might be some animosity already. I mean, it's been alluded to already about the Nicole stuff, but obviously nothing's boiled over. But I think when Laurel lashes out on Cara in the coming weeks, that's what's going to really cause that like official rift between Ryan and Laurel as well.
Mm-hmm. So Gwibble Gabble here is saying that Avery had too much attitude during the deliberation, though. She was right, in my opinion, but I couldn't side with her because of how much of a bitch she was being about getting her way. The attitude was too much. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
I disagree. I don't think it was too much.
No, well, he was like being.
We've seen so
wasn't
much
being
work,
reasonable.
No,
right? So she was just like annoyed that she was gonna have to dig her heels in because this guy was only doing it to prove a point. It's so annoying. I would probably be more bitchy than Avery was, to be honest. Okay, so Jay West here is asking if Tony did this to Camilla before. I don't remember specifically, but it's likely because Camilla would have an opinion on wanting things to go a certain way, and I can see Tony not necessarily wanting it to go that way.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I don't think they ever volunteered. He might have like strong-armed Camilla, but I don't think Camilla is the type of player where she would go into an elimination to protect anyone. Like Camilla doesn't really like have allies like that, or didn't have allies like that. So Tony might have said like, I'll go in. And then Camilla said, all right, well, I'm not going in. So I'll do what you want. But I appreciate that Avery didn't do that. I mean, when you have an actual friend on the line, I think it makes, I mean, I still don't love putting yourself in elimination, but if you are going to do it, like this is the situation where it makes sense.
Right. Just set a precedent and just be like, F off.
Yeah, like if it were me, I would not go into elimination. I don't care. Like I'm more on the banana side of it where it's like, yeah, I'm not going in. Like if my mother or best friend has to go in, like they're going in, I'm not going in no matter what. So that's how I would play because I don't want to go home. But I respect Avery for how she handled it.
BBG says Avery was 100% right. Not only was she protecting a real friend, but Era 2 will likely be better than allies for Era 3 than Era 4 will. Exactly. 100%. Era 2 is more connected. Era 2 is, I would say, more well-rounded than Era 4 is. It just would be a better idea to protect Era 2, and they're better friends. So I would do the same. Tatiana wants to know if we noticed that Jenny picked up bananas and held them like a baby at the toga party on the stairs. Yes, she did pick up a full-grown man. She's strong, that woman. Did you notice it? I did.
I actually didn't notice that, but that's funny.
I did. All right, so we get to the arena, and right away we get asked, or TJ asks, who are they going to be sending in? And so Avery tells Tony to go ahead. And so she's going to see what Tony is going to say. And Tony does not back down. They are at a stalemate. This pisses TJ off and he says, you guys are coming down. And just like that, they go from being in power to being in the sand. Bonehead. So wait, and do you hear that TJ says, don't fuck with me?
Yeah.
TJ.
Classic.
Don't fuck with me. It's you, he says. I wrote down hard-headed people. Please tell the group.
I kind of wonder if the whole house knew. I'm guessing they did. They knew that it was going to be Tony and Avery going in because it really didn't feel like anyone was all that surprised that Tony and Avery were going in. It seemed like it was like very chill. Whereas like remembering like Zach and Amanda doing it, like the whole like house and vibe was like it was an uproar. But with Tony and Avery, it was like, oh no, you guys are coming down, and they just kind of walked down, and no one really said anything. There was no like crazy reaction, so I feel like it must have been known across the house that they were going to be going in.
Well, I think they were both talking to people. Everyone knew Avery wasn't backing down. And then Tony was telling other people that he was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the stalemate or whatever. But he probably thought she would maybe back down still. I'm not sure.
So JUS says really loves that Avery stood her ground, but when is it okay to cut a friend? Because you can't save everyone. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. I think for me, because it was happening so early in the season, and he had no reason to need to save people in Era 4. So yes, later on in the season, you might not be able to save everyone. I get that. But why do you need to save Kyland and Casey when you are Era 3 and when you're Avery that has better connections with?
And I think other people would have been able to be reasoned with that if Avery had somebody else like and explained. Because I bet you if she was up there with Corey would also be trying to throw in Derek and Aviv. He would also be like, oh, let's make this alliance with Kyland. Oh yeah, this will be great. And it would be similar. But I would think, although who knows, it's Corey, but I would imagine in the same situation, Avery's like, I'm not backing down. He's like, oh, well then we'll go with what you want. I would think that he would do that. Right? Or would he also make the same choice as Tony?
I could see Corey not backing down if he thinks it's better for his game to like keep Kyland.
I completely disagree. I think Corey would back down immediately.
I would think he would back down.
We saw Corey
literally
last
see him
episode.
Like he's ready, he's all puffed up, and he's like, what do you think
8 years ago, maybe, but
and like these aren't like super close people for him. I mean, I don't know. Even Corey, if they were close people.
Last episode, Corey made a complete pussy move and sent in the only people willing to work with him so he could appease the rest of his era. If Naya and Avery came up to Corey and said, hey, like we want you to put in Kylan and Casey, I think he for sure does it.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it last week. Corey said straight up that Naya asked him to put in Amanda instead of Avery, so he listened to Naya and did it. So I don't see why he wouldn't do the same thing now to appease his team. Jordan and Devin and Tori, I'm sure, would much rather Kylan and Casey, or maybe not.
Yeah,
Casey,
no, I
but
hear what
Kylan
you're
going.
saying, but if he thinks he has a better connection with Casey and Kylan, I can see him not budging. I could see him having that. It's obviously not going to be the same dynamics if it was him this week instead of Tony. Like, I think that he would have just done what Avery wanted because it would make the most sense. But I'm saying if the circumstances were the same dynamically, that I could see Corey having a similar response as Tony did, but not in this exact same situation, obviously. So it is an individual game for this arena. They're playing one step at a time. I think that's what it's called. They're going to start on a box. They're going to read these directions, and then they're going to build a walkway, 2 tiles at a time. The men were on first, and I'm just going to read you what the clue says. So you could only use yellow, blue, red, or green tiles. These tiles look damn heavy. Green can only touch yellow. Blue cannot touch yellow, and the colors on either side of yellow must be different from each other. So those were the rules. I'm not sure if it was the same rules for the men and the women, because I actually didn't take a picture of the second one because I was like, I just assumed, but then I was like, maybe it wasn't. What do you guys think about this arena challenge?
I think it was a pretty classic type challenge. Yeah, that you have to use your brain, but also it's one of those ones where the audience can help you so much, So
the audience is doing more than the people in it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're all like reading out loud. They're like, use what? Like reading all the instructions to the people in the audience. But they have to build the walkway 2 tiles at a time. But they have to rub back and forth, picking up the tiles one at a time. So Darrell does think that the audience is going to help him out, which they did. And all I said was, oh, Lord, Tony doesn't even understand the challenge. Laurel was super pissed at Tony for putting Avery in this situation. So she is actively helping Darrell here. Then we see Darrell hurt his back. Lord have mercy. CT recognizes that Darrell hurt his back, that he wasn't bending from his knees to pick up these tiles. But Darrell does win, and Tony goes home. Tony barely even started his puzzle. He did not understand what he was doing at all. What a bonehead for deciding to throw himself in and then not even coming out on top. He didn't think that one through at all.
No.
Yeah, I think it sucks though that Tony's going home here. Definitely not happy about it, and like obviously he played just completely horribly here, but I do think like this season would be better with someone like Tony that's just so chaotic and you never know what he's gonna do. So I am kind of disappointed. I'm definitely disappointed in Tony, but also disappointed in the results because if Tony was going to be this chaotic, it would have been really fun to have him on the season for a little longer. So personally, like if it were up to me, and I mean, I love Darrell, a good guy, but I kind of wish Tony won this one just for the entertainment factor.
I totally hear you, but I needed him to be humbled by his bonehead decision, So, but yes, I do think that entertainment wise that he would have been more interesting to stay in the game, but for that move, he deserved to be punished. Punish him. And you're right, even Tony said it himself that it was not Tony time tonight. So next up was the girls, and it looked as though the guys' tiles were still there. And I was like, aren't they able to just copy the guys' tiles then? Like, why is it not going to be reset? Like, why was that so easy? But I think either they had a different brief, like a different set of directions, or they had different tile configurations so that they couldn't just copy the winning streak or whatever it's called. So who were you guys rooting for?
I'm happy with what happened. I was rooting for Darrell, and then when it came to the female elimination, I would have been happy. Like I would have been happy for Jody. I did really want it for Jody. But also I'm happy for Avery. She had such a good episode and like I wanted her to get that win as well. So it's like for this, I'm sad to see Jody go. Definitely very sad, but it's not like she brings a lot of drama or anything like that, but she's just like a solid person to have. And I feel for her for sure. So that one I kind of was like, either way, it's like sad, but also happy.
Sophie's paying homage to your team, Matthew, saying, man, Team Devil Time means something different now. It's true.
It's what happens when you draft the entertaining people. You get disappointed with the results, but what can you do? For me, I was rooting. The women was tough. I mean, I like Jody a lot. Avery, like I still feel like we don't like know as much about her.
This was the most interesting
really
I've seen Avery in a while.
Yeah, I would have felt bad for Avery if she went home here. It would have just been a horrible way to go out. So I think overall I'm happy. I mean, Jody is just like a good like throwback person, but I just wonder like how much entertainment are we going to see from Jody? Avery, I do have a similar worry, especially now that like this Tony conflict is over. Like I don't know if Avery's necessarily going to be the most entertaining person, but at least I'd like to see what more she can offer. Whereas Jody, I kind of feel like we know what she's going to offer at this point, and it is like a solid competitor, a really good person. Like she's a mom, which is great, but yeah, I think that's kind of about it. So I think overall, I was cheering for Avery on the women's side.
I have the same sentiments as Brittany here. I was really sad to see Jody go. I wanted her to win, but I did also want Avery to win because it would be just desserts that Tony put them down into elimination, and she was the only one that came out on top between the two of them. So I wanted those just desserts to happen. So Avery does win. Jody and her do hug it out. They're both Jody definitely is a competitor, and TJ says that to her, like, even in victory and defeat, like, you're awesome. I've seen you do both many times. And so I think that TJ respects Jody. I guess she's pretty much been on the show all the time that he's been on. So I liked that goodbye. But they're all really excited for Avery winning. Her era 3 people came and they were picking her up and hugging her. And you could see Tony like in the background.
It was so sad.
Like not getting any sort of anything from anyone. Yeah, instant karma for Tony is correct.
Yeah, and was Casey and Casey and Kylan going up to him being like, wow, you sacrificed your game for us. That means so much to us.
Nope.
Did they say that? No.
Nope. Oh, okay. So maybe we'll get off right now. Now I'm currently on IG Live with Tina. I love that.
Get the tea.
Okay, well, we're almost gonna wrap this up then and see if we can catch some of that live.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Instagram lives. Like Jordan is live right now too. Wes and CP again, where Tori was just live with someone. So it looks like everyone is doing the IG live thing after the episodes these days.
Well, Jay used to do that a couple seasons ago. So maybe they're getting in on that IG live game. So what we do learn, though, is who wins the elimination is going to get some power. They're going to be choosing the targets, the captains for the next daily, the next round. So the Darrell is going to pick the women and the women, and then Avery's going to pick the men. So for Era 1, Avery picks Derek because Derek wasn't looking at her, and Darrell picks Anissa. Some people were saying that this is another case of Darrell not thinking before he picks, but who else should he have picked?
Tina.
I wanted to pick Tina.
We don't want him to. We're happy he picked Anissa, but based on his relationships, he should have picked Tina. He's much closer with Anissa. He's competed way more with Anissa. Like, again, he's not thinking in terms of social strategy. Like, I understand him, but like, and maybe he just is happy maybe he just would rather have Anissa be expendable. That's the truth, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessary that she's going to be going in, but at least she's gonna try real damn hard to win, right?
Well, it is trivia, so it's like, I mean, Era 1 can win trivia, that's for sure. It depends on the kind of trivia, but that's more of a toss-up. So, yeah, I thought it was kind of funny that he picked Anissa, though. And
yeah,
I
it was funny.
Next week, like the people that are potentially going in, like it's going to be a bloodbath in the elimination because there are some like big players that are up for grabs here.
So Era 2, they pick Laurel and Bananas. Yikes!
Love that. That was.
I mean,
amazing.
It's great, but like Bananas is just like mad. It's great. Era 3, Jordan volunteers himself. I'm just like, whatever.
Classic Jordan.
I think that was Jordan repaying Corey for not trying to get him in last time.
Okay.
So I think that was like, now it's like, all right, we're good.
Like standing up for his real world crew, you know what I mean? Not making her burn a bridge. So, okay. And she does choose Naya. And then
Darrell chooses Naya, right?
Yeah, sorry, Darrell chooses Naya. And then Era 4, they choose Jenny and Horacio, which makes sense. They're the least connected out of Era 4 for sure. Yeah, that is a lineup if I've ever heard of one myself. Whoa. So who do we think is our MVP for this episode? I mean, obviously Avery.
For the men,
yeah, I mean, for me, like, Avery and Naya just like really were so strong this episode. I think like on the male side, probably honestly, I think Josh was good.
Josh,
like, I mean, you could give it to Darrell, but again, like the elimination was like mostly
and his decisions were terrible. We can't reward that.
No.
I say we give it to Naya and Avery. Or just Avery.
Yeah, sure. I can.
Or
I don't think it has to be male, female necessarily.
I don't think there's any other male that is
worthy.
Not this week.
CT for being kind of funny.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like getting sick of the like CT tips, to be honest.
No, it's gonna be for the whole season, babe.
Well, I mean, if we're just gonna get like 4 every episode, where it's like, oh, CT tip number 36.
I mean, that's
Drink
funny.
Water.
Once it goes past like 5, like then it'll have a knowing face, like for 5 more, and then it'll be funny again. So we'll just have to go through the phases of these tips.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this next potential elimination. Like, imagine we get Jenny versus Naya and Horacio versus Jordan again, or I mean Derek.
I want Bananas. I want Bananas versus
Horacio,
and I want
Jordan.
Yeah, oh my gosh!
I want Laurel versus Naya.
Oh, do you know what though? I think it's gonna be. Maybe. Okay, so we haven't seen from the trailer when. I thought it was going to be from the Era Invitational where he beats Mark, but there's a time where Derek is being lifted up by everybody in the house, whatever. I'm wondering if it's after this one. Like maybe he takes out like a Bananas or somebody that everybody wants out of the game. Because there is
I kind of think like that probably already happened and they just didn't show it on the actual show.
Yeah.
You think it was just for Mark? All right.
Yeah, probably.
You know what? I think, like, okay. Yeah.
When they were all like celebrating, like they probably got back from the big elimination and like they probably did a celebration. Like I feel like a lot of that stuff is in the preview and then never makes air. Like even like hookups sometimes too. Like they'll show it in the preview and then it never actually makes the show. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Derek won another elimination at some point as well. So
only because he's going to go in this one, I can see it being an opportunity for him to be celebrated for who because he was probably the underdog with whomever he went up against, if it's him. And yeah, like if he comes back through, I think people would be celebratory, but we'll see.
I hope it's Bananas against Jordan.
Yeah, I hope it's Bananas versus Jordan. I really hope so. Great. Get one of them out. Make them go against each other. I want to see it. I mean, they've gone against each other before, but like, wait, it's been a while.
Well, so yes, we're going to do Avery and Naya for our MVPs. Yeah. Okay. Well, what do you guys have going on? Because that's it for tonight. Anything?
Nothing. Just need to catch up on all the shows, and Big Brother's been exciting this week, so that's about it.
That's about it. That's true. Well, thanks everybody here in the chat for hanging out with us. We're going to go and try to catch some of these lives. I'll see if I can record some of them so I can post if there's a significant amount of live left. Please, everybody, subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let us know who you think is going to be going into the elimination. No spoilers, please. Who do you think should have been MVP? Did we get it right? Tell us all your thoughts on who went out this episode. And I guess who did we lose? Who lost people? Hold on. Let's look at lastly, look at our drafts. Who lost people? The cast is so big, I still don't know who's on whose team.
Yeah, me neither.
Who went home? So Jody, so Team Chaos. Michelle, you did lose Jody.
Of course, she's on my team.
I'm sorry. And
I lost Tony.
And you lost Tony. So Michelle, you still have Rachel, Derek, Horacio, Ryan, and Anissa. Matthew, my team. I think I still have everybody. Ooh, sorry guys. And then Matthew, you still have CT, Jenny, Darrell, Michelle, Corey, Tina, and Josh. And then Fanta still has Emily, Theo, Cara, Kylan, Nylan, Naya, Casey, Derek, Aviv. So she's lost 2 people. Okay, Michelle, you still got Rachel and Derek. So those people you can win for. I don't know about points wise, but maybe you'll win the season. Who knows? Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
Yeah.